Lesson 9, any restaurant template. We're going to be working on our option for the logo here. I don't know what you're going to be doing for the logo. It could be some kind of link. It could be just some kind of image. I'm using some Font Awesome logo with a fish to represent my fish market here. So, you know, all's fair. Just put whatever you want in there as an open rich text option. And I'll put it up here at the very beginning, next under the restaurant name and above the Google ID. And then we'll go ahead and fill in that whatever the UL class nav is already there, and so we'll basically apply that, and then we'll add on what else we'd like to apply within the logo HTML class. And in this way, wherever we go, it will be able to do that. And so let me just clear all this up so that we can have that string ready. And then I'll go ahead and add it to the select element down at the bottom once it loads on the page. So any place that has this will just have the HTML. And then throughout this, we'll also be working today on providing, it'll be the objects such as events, the nav links, or the banner images, anything that's going to be multiple objects nested inside our main object. We'll be working on those today, and then we'll also be working on delete buttons for these items. So we're trying to create a CRUD system for our local database that's basically going to be utilizing a file instead of a database, like something more along the lines of MongoDB in the JSON object storage. So let's walk with me and see how easy this really is to have one template do multiple restaurants over and many different restaurant themes. And I know WordPress has something similar, but obviously that's a PHP thing that's going to require PHP or MyAdmin PHP to be installed, and it would require SQL, and you're going to have a lot more security involved, and people can get in there and destroy your database, which is not something that can happen with a file that this will be going off of. So let's have some fun and see what JavaScript is capable of. And as you can see, I'm just plugging in the HTML that's currently in there. And if there's no HTML, then we won't use any. But if there is, then we'll obviously bring in what we already have and then add to it. And see here, now we don't want to miss out on the stuff that's already there. So we want to keep those nav links there. But just in each individual case, they get to choose what do you have already here, and then from there we'll append our new information, our new HTML. And then we'll also make it so when it's the link selected, like if we hit the home button. So it will act as if we hit the home button. So let's just type in the rest of this for the HTML to look correct. We need to put in our class and our href. For the on-click, it needs to be in there. Just the hashtag and then on-click. In-click doesn't make sense, so I eventually have to come back and change it to on-click. But you'll see how this all works. Yeah, on-click. There we go. So it just acts as if it's the first button. And remember, we're not running we're running from my local, so my maps and my blog aren't going to be working here. Now what we're going to do is every time we have a page, since it's a single page app, we're just going to update the header to whatever the last nav link was clicked. and then we'll update. Each header will be representative on each page. So there'll be a contact link, then there'll be that page that coincides with it will have a header that says contact. And it's like same with about and same with home. So as you can see here, I'm going to write a for each that goes through each of the items that correlates with the data, with the nav link, and then we'll go ahead and make sure that it has the correct heading for the page. And when I say page, these are just divs that are, everything is hidden and that div is shown. That's how the single page app works. It's one page and it has multiple sections in it. And then each page, once it's shown, all the other sections get hidden except for that one. That's it. And so in this case, we have like 4 pages, but we can have as many as we want. But seeing we have limited space on the mobile, because we don't have a drop-down mobile, I would say probably stick between 5 and 6 at the tops. Maybe more. I mean, it just depends. It'll start to fold over and won't look as nice on mobile if you get a whole bunch of nav links. And usually I'd stick with 4. I mean, this is an online brochure for the most part. It doesn't have anything more than information about the business and the contact. So functionality really is more of just displaying the information, displaying the media, and displaying the menu. Functionality does not mean their accounting is done here. Maybe someday in the future we can build out something that does like the Hostess web application, so that they can tell which tables are open and able to be sat and which ones are not, and which ones need to be cleaned, and so on and so forth. Like, that would be cool. Just do a all inclusive, all the website inventory could be in it, all the content management for your recipes, all that could be built into one single application. That's also something that's used as the Hostess web application for the front of the house. So interesting stuff. As you can see here, what I'm doing is I'm doing a data set, and then from there the data set is correlated with whatever nav link is going on. And then basically what I'm just going to do here is fill in whatever that nav link is to the heading. So there's 4, so 0, 1, 2, 3, and I'll just name these headings all the way to match that on the data nav link data set attribute, and then that'll fill them up. Pretty easy. And later on, since they're all lowercase, I'll probably have to come in with some kind of a class that changes them to uppercase with CSS. Very doable, but clean and easy to do. So data nav link will populate through each one. Whatever the value of that native nav link data set value is, will correlate with the index of the nav link array, and it will populate that word. There you go. So we have about, and we'll go through and do them all. And then we go through social media. Now, social media was something I'm going to go ahead and add into our content management system. And if you want to look for fonts, through Font Awesome, you can find these icons. And these icons will be the ones we'll use for the social media. Just type in whatever one matches. Like for Facebook or TikTok or whatever, or LinkedIn. These Font Awesome is already aware of all these, so you just need to figure out what the class is and then use them. And I have some at the bottom already, so we already know that you're going to have to type in the class for these. And go ahead and just watch as I demonstrate. So I'm going to do a case switch, and if it's the social media being added to it, here's with the functionality that will happen, and then I'll break. Just like all the others, we need to know what selectors are going to be here and what things we're going to be needing to tie the values to. So I'm just bringing in the HTML so I can kind of reference it while I work. Yeah, and it's going to do a lot of the same thing as we did when it was the event. So we'll just bear with me as we switch out all the names of the fields so that we'll validate them all. Yeah, and then so we'll be using this already, we're going to have the object that's already been built, so we'll just work off of that. And this is how we're going to be pushing those values of each input field into the new object that will be nested into our main temp restaurant add object. So yeah, just making sure I get all the fields down correctly. And I'm going to spell out everything right within our global alert. Yeah, that's just going to be temp restaurant and then 0 and then social media. That'll get it into the nested place, the nested object. And then we're going to clear out everything and get the target ready. So it'll be empty and we won't be building onto it. And so once we get it ready, we're going to loop through and fill it out with a new data string. Do a for loop now. Yeah, and then we'll build out that string. Yeah, it's probably easier just to copy it. We're just going to need to change out the object that we're dealing with and we're iterating through. So let me just do that. And then the same thing that was cleared out will be the same thing that gets populated. And then we'll go ahead and take a look at the form and see how this all looks now. And I'm going to just get some of the links prepared and get it ready so we can actually use the content management system. And as you can see, I'm just adding in some of the classes. I'm adding in the name, title, and of course my LinkedIn. And let's go see if this works. All right, excuse me. So, yeah, so once we've done all this in this line item, we're going to clear out all the values as well. So we want to go ahead and display every social media that gets brought up, but we also want to make sure that we can delete it. And so we're going to be doing a lot of line items to make this spaced out correctly. But all in all, I want them to be able to put in whatever class it is and whatever link it is and whatever social media, because I have no idea what they're going to have in the future. So as you can see, I'm just going to be kind of toiling around to get how this works, and then you'll see the result once I get it all working. And it's not 100% just yet, so just bear with me while I get all the JavaScript correct. It all has to match. And since I copied and pasted, it just makes it a little difficult for me to, just bear with me. Yeah. And I do this a couple times and find that this version of Font Awesome, you have to go hunt down the correct class. And then I end up just copying the one that I've already got from Font Awesome 5.8.2. So as you can see, is FA brands and FA linked is what was working. So if I just demonstrate that, FAB is what works. FAB brands. All right, well, just follow my lead. And then FA-LinkedIn. And I'll get my LinkedIn address. There. Now that one works. And so I'll do the other ones, and then I'll also come around and we'll add the delete button as well. But I just want to show you how we're going to be representing them so you can see that they're working. FAB and then FA-YouTube is how that one worked. So they're all kind of similar now that you see the pattern here. And so they'll be represented in a line item, and then they go off to my YouTube channel. I think I had issues with my Wi-Fi at this point, but you get the point. Yeah. And these are basically copied from my footer, so it is what it is. So here's their Facebook one. I would recommend probably doing what I did before. I'm just kind of looking around to see if they had other options because these aren't working. Oh, because these are 6.5. So I would use 5.8.2. And you'll see the difference that it'll start working. Yeah, and it's just going to Facebook, but just for the example, you would have to put your own Facebook account address link in there. So we're going to be doing the nested objects in the same kind of fashion when we delete things. Here we're adding things where we're doing a push, and then for deleting we're going to have to go through and we make a for loop, and we build out a temporary object, and we'll refuse to populate that one with the one selected. And then we'll build out the string again, just like we did here with the same kind of steps at the end. So, but we need to obviously put in the button that says delete item. And I struggle with the how to get this in here with the correct apostrophes and stuff for a little while. I go back and forth with 3 or 4 different ideas. I even try a substring because it's giving me so much trouble. But a good old-fashioned just adjustment of the HTML at the very end of me toiling around is what I actually need. So bear with me as we watch me struggle with getting this to actually work the way I want it. So I'm passing 2 arguments with a function. One is a number, and the other is the type of content we'll be working with. And so here I will build out the function, delete item. And we start doing our switch cases. I think switch cases are kind of clean. I think if a lot of if statements don't really work out well. I think ternary operators look nice when they're inside of a React or something like that, but they get confusing and hard to read otherwise. So in that case, I would use an if statement instead of a ternary operator. But this is a far superior as far as structure when it comes to switch case, because you're expecting to have any number of different cases for a scenario, and so it's built 100% for what I'm up to. And you'll also see that being used when it comes to Redux, is this one big case switch for the most part. Very effective. And so right here, watch here as I basically create a delete, and I pass through what iteration number I'd like to delete, and then what array within the nested object I will be deleting as well. So we have to go through that nested object to find the one, add all the ones except, and then push all the ones except the ones we want, what we just selected. So that's how we delete. It's a very simple, all but this one concept. Everything except for the one that equals I. And off we go. So we do, just like we did before when we were adding into the objects, we've got the nav links, we've got the banners, we're going to have events, we're going to have social, different kind of media content. Obviously, we're going to have social media. The banners, I still, later on, we'd be putting some kind of a radio button, and the radio button will say, is this a Jumbotron? And if so, that radio button will be there. But for now, you're going to see me walk through the banners and go ahead and type out which one is I, and if it is not I, then we will push it to the temp object, and that temp object will be what we're going to be using to populate the new. See, now it equals our temp object. That's good. Just as simple as that. No set state, no nothing. It just, this is what this equals in the temp object. Very simple. So I'm going to be doing some testing. I want to add some images, and then once the images are there, I'm going to delete them. But I want to make sure I add at least 2 of them so I know this works, and it only deletes 1 at a time. I don't want it to delete all of my images, just 1. So as you can see, I'll be building out multiple options and then deleting. It's not working just yet. As you can see now here, there's the arguments that weren't passing correctly based on my apostrophes. It was closing the string too much, too soon, and my arguments were closing out and not working the function. This is a really simple problem if you want to fix it simply with HTML. It just needed the apostrophes in the right place. But man, you can really make this into a complicated scenario. You can bring out ticks, and we can bring in $signs and squirrely brackets. We can bring in all sorts of ideas. I brought in, as you can see here in a little while, I'll put everything into a number, and then one time I decided to do a number, and then it's attached to the thing, so it's just one argument that I would have to dissect using substrings. What a mess. And so you'll see me go through all ideas, and then really simply just go back and resolve it all with something basic as just, I just need a comma here. So I guess this is my point is, you'll waste it sometimes up to 30 minutes to an hour. I mean, you're lucky if it's not a full day on something that, well, that was just a comma, or my syntax was just off. So don't be so mad at yourself. You see how I'm struggling through different options and different whys and why nots and how come this doesn't work. And then I'm just trying to let you know you're not alone. Just don't get upset and don't hurt your computer. Just if you get frustrated, I would get up and just kind of move on for a minute and then come back and then look and see that, it's usually a really simple thing. So here I am, now I'm passing an array of sorts. It's just like, that doesn't make sense in this argument at all. So, so watch and learn how I go through all these, trying to escape at this point, I'm trying to escape my commas, my quotes, which could be viable too. It all depends. But the thing is, if you notice, it's the opening and closing of the function that needs to be taken into regard here. The opening and closing function, those single quotes need to be paid attention to here. And you'll find it to be kind of amusing if you're paying attention after a while. I mean, I have this sped up at 3 times speed. Just think I had to gruel through this thing of how long it actually did take to figure out what I was doing wrong. So syntax is, everybody gets hung up on syntax sometime. It's just a matter of argumenting, what did I do? And it just trial and error, my friend. That's trial and error. But this was a rather interesting lesson because we're working with a little bit of everything here. Now we'll be dialing in on some of the more of the deletions and more of the your basic inserting into our object, not so much as nesting other objects, but the latter one will be the simplest part. And then once we get that together, I think we'll be putting the CRUD system together for the actual menu itself, and that'll be super easy. Because we've done all this already, then it'll be a lot easier to do once we've gotten the hard part done first. Like I always say, get the hard stuff done first. All right, so now we're coming along, and we're still having trouble with our argument, but we're getting to file down what is and isn't working, so we're getting closer. Now, I'm just going to do a dash, it looks like. And that's what I was talking about. Like, I tried this option for a minute, and then I did a substring in the function to cut it up, which I think is hilarious. But like I said, I mean, you're trying everything when it comes to JavaScript. What is the one that's going to solve this problem? And this one is more complicated than the other, so no. But it was funny that I tried this, and bear with me as we watch through as I decide what's not best for this program. Yeah, so we're doing console.log to see if this is going to work. And it is not working thus far. That comma is still breaking down the string. So we'll keep toying around with the HTML here, and then we'll find out our solution. I got 15 minutes left. Yeah, you can see where the string is broken now. That's easy. Very easy to see that it, on click is where it all starts. Yeah, okay. Well, here we go, folks. We're getting there. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to now put it back to where it was. When it gets pain in the ass to be having to start over again, but this is how you test and see if something works. You gotta do this stuff, or you'll never know. It's all trial and error, and then eventually you start to become easier. So as you can see, like, I'm solving these problems within an hour or so. It doesn't take all day. Sometimes when I was beginning, it would take weeks to find out something really simple. I would be really mad at myself that if it took me a day to find out, it was just a syntax error. But these things this is like a puzzle, and these are my puzzles, and these are my challenges. And so when I accomplish them, it's very rewarding for me. So it's one of those where I won't let it over until it's actually solved and resolved. And so everybody has challenges that they like to do. And I'm going to say that this is something that I enjoy doing. And that's why I do it. It's because I find something challenging and I want to solve it. And here we go. Now we're looking at a delete. So it deletes the one you want. But it took a long time. I would say it's about 30 minutes or so on working on this one to get it just right. So it deletes the correct iteration number within the correct nested object. And then we'll move on to the next one, which will be banners, then media, then events, then social media. So they all are going to have a delete button. I don't know. I've done these before, and content management is it's a slow go to get content management systems up, because you think once I've got the ad part done, you're like, oh wow, I'm finished. It's like, no, that's only 1/4 of it. So they call it the CRUD system, is create, read, update, and delete. And so we've done the adding of the nested objects thus far, and now we're doing the deleting of the nested objects. And then we'll be doing the simple uploads from one field, and then the simple edit from all the fields, and then the simple delete from all the fields. Because here, when we're doing a delete, that is the edit for the object. The nested object is being deleted. So you add and delete it, and then from there, the overall adding will be submitted at the end. So I'm just writing some function comments here so that I know full well when I'm scrolling, I don't want to, unfortunately, get mixed up and write in the wrong spot. Like I'll start writing something that belongs in the delete, but I'm writing it in the add, obviously, because they look very similar. They have case switches. They have for loops. It's just that the delete has one for loop extra that will do the deletion, and then it will do the building of the string to the target. So it has that step. They both have that step, which makes them look kind of similar. So like I said, be wary when you come around trying to work, and if you're not looking close enough, you might be putting in the wrong spot. Yeah, and then from there we'll be building into our temp object, and then we'll do an example test to make sure that it works correctly. So we got about 10 minutes left of this video. So at the end they'll also be doing like a little bit of HTML spacing and cleaning up to make sure that this looks nice and professional. But it is coming along. I would imagine that this will become much more of a popular video after I'm finished with it, because right now it's very slow going to get through it. And why would you watch it and then wait for the next week for the next? Why not wait till it's all finished? I completely understand. But I'm really enjoying this. One little chip away at a time. This is how you get things done in my world, is just one step at a time. So I enjoy this content, and I enjoy setting goals and then just knocking them out one piece at a time. And this is how everything gets done. So if just the smallest amount of information, goals, and just piece by piece, eventually you'll have something together. So I just stick with it. And I do this for small businesses mainly because I feel like they already have so much against them, and the odds are stacked against them. I think they say like 90% of small businesses fail. And I would say, why not try to get them something that they can utilize and save some money, and then help that bottom line? I mean, I'm a big fan of the underdog, and so I would really like to see like small businesses succeed. And if I can provide a tool that's going to help them get their website up and running for free or for minimal amount of work and money, then I'm going to be there for them, just because I don't have really anything else to do. So, these are my decisions I've made in life where I just really enjoy teaching this stuff, and I really want to stick to it. And I get a lot of gratification from finishing projects. Kind of like I said, when I put a lot of heart and effort into something and watch it from the very beginning all the way through, and then watch it be finished, and then add on to it, and then build onto it, and then make it become a success. There's nothing more gratifying than starting something and then finishing it and seeing it benefit people. It is by far the most gratifying thing, is being able to help people. So thanks for anybody who is watching and learning, because you're the reason I wanted to do this, is so that I can help you. And now I'm putting in a smart, rich HTML. It's rich content is what they called it when I was working in the industry. Rich content is basically when you can put HTML, or even, for that matter, anything you want that would work on runtime. And so you just type it up in here and it shows. So we're going to do the case switch for the events now. Very similar to what we were already doing. So you would type in an event, and you're going to have the event's date and time, what they call the event, the details, and where the event's going to hold place, and you add them all up. And then if you want to delete them, we're going to make that option available here, just like all the others. And we got about 6 minutes left, so what we need to do initially is we're going to have to go through a for loop, and we'll have that initial number of the one we want to delete, and then so we'll push all those items into our temporary object except the one we want to delete. And then once we've got that object ready, we're going to go through and build out our HTML in a string fashion, and that will be placed into the target where our events are represented. And now, granted, remember, we've already deleted that one at that point before we write that HTML string out. And that's why the trick is you do the deletion to the temp object. As that temp object holds that information, we assign that temp object to the new nested object, and then we also build out the HTML string. And here we go. I'm just going to do an example. This happens, I do a few of these. Like I said, I think we only have a few minutes left of this video, about 5 minutes. So I'm going to be doing a trial and error of a whole bunch of things. And as you can see right now, it's deleting all of them instead of just one. So I go a little bit, and then I have to adjust the JavaScript because it's been pasted in here from somewhere else. And so we want to make sure that it's going through the temp object to iterate through that to get what it needs, not the other object, the old one. So here we go with the latter next try. And I'm just writing any generic. Now, luckily, I've written it so you can write high noon or 1 o'clock or whatever you want to for the date and time. This is, since it's your content, I don't really want to make it to where it's so specific that you'll, I want to make it more your thing. You type whatever you want. And then, if it gets to be like, hey, I made a party on a date that doesn't exist, like February 31st. Well, obviously that's going to be a problem. So, I've had that happen in the past, and then, we've had to go a little more specific for the date and time. And that might be a thing. Like I said, the software is never finished. And so if we need to get more specific on how we leave the dates and the times and the contact information, then we shall do that. But in the meantime, I'm just going to first and foremost just get it working with something as basic and simple as we possibly can. And so I just want to get this CRUD system working. Right now, obviously, it deleted all of them again, and it's telling me I've got an error of an undefined. So, we need to make sure that temp object is the only thing that it's iterating through, because that's the only thing that got pushed to it. So we'll just write these all over again, and bear with me as we find out which one's going to be a winner. Okay, now we'll write down, because we want to make 2 of them at least. So, and we'll get this ready. Yeah, it deleted all of them again. And so, let me see here. We're going to need to find out why. All right, so we'll just start this off as our first one, and we'll start the second one off. And then we'll make up a little title. There we go, just some standard content. So we got two things. Let's see if we can delete. Okay, now we deleted one. That works. So it does work now. You can add and delete events. Now I'm just going to do a little cleanup here. As you can see, some of these input fields are right next to each other, and then some of them are not, and it's because they need to be within line items. We're going to have these line items so that they're spaced apart correctly, which is good because then when you use tab, you'll be able to, when you tab through the line items, it will look nice, and then the tab will know which one to go to from the next. It's intuitive, like the way you hit your keys. So let's just separate all this stuff, all these input text fields with some line item spacing that's already been prepared in our Bootstrap CSS application. Yeah, so a lot of this just is from the very beginning that we just were writing it really fast, and now we're coming through and then cleaning it up. But, as long as, we're aware of it and we get to it, that's how it works. You don't want to put this out and then have someone complain later. You want to make it look nice before it actually gets to the public. So that's a step-by-step process. And so we're almost done. A little more line item spacing down here for the media and for the YouTube ID and the HTML content. All those will be separated out with a little bit of spacing so we know what's what. And I really appreciate you following along for the whole video. Thank you very much for watching. And we're chunking away at this thing. And I hope that you're enjoying this and that you're learning something. And, your patience will pay off here at the end. We'll see this beautiful application come to life. And hopefully one day somebody will come along and utilize it for their business. And then that will be a success in my life and my story here. All right. Just a little more cleaning up here, and we'll do a refresh, and as you can see, look at all those spacing. They look so much better. So I hope you learned something here today. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you next time. You guys take care.